Inside the utils, I'm going to create a new file, profile actions. So again, I'm naming it profile actions because all of these functions are going to be used inside the profile page. Inside here, we're going to import Axios. We're going to import base URL. We're going to import catch errors. Also, we're going to need our JS cookie package to get the cookie. Here, I'm going to create a Axios instance, just like we did in our post actions. Axios.create. Inside an object, base URL. It is going to be base URL /API/profile. And also we're going to have headers, authorization, cookie.get token. So this is our Axios instance. And we are going to export a function, export const follow user async, and we are going to receive the user to follow ID and also the set user follow stats. Inside try catch, if there is any error, I'm just going to load the user, call in the catch errors and pass in the error. And inside the try block, we are going to make a post request and make sure to use the Axios with the capital A dot post, and our route is /follow and the user to follow ID. So here we are going to type /follow and pass in the user to follow ID. So after this request is successful, we are going to call the set user follow stats previous, and we're going to return an object from here, spread the previous, and the following is going to be an array, spread the previous dot following, and we're going to add an object with the user to follow ID. So the user follow stats, if I go to the model, this is basically this data right here. We have the followers and following array. We are changing the following array. Inside the following, we have an object with the user. So all we are doing is spreading the previous, so the followers, and the following is going to be previous dot following, and we are adding an object to the following array with the user to follow ID. And I'm going to copy this for the unfollow user. It is going to be unfollow user. I'm going to name it user to unfollow ID. And here we are going to make the request to unfollow, and it is going to be a put request. I'm going to name it user to unfollow ID. So after this request is successful, we are going to again spread the previous, but this time for the following, we are going to return previous dot following dot filter following dot user not equals to user to unfollow ID. So this will remove the user from the following array, the user we are unfollowing. So now let's import these functions inside our following and followers. Let's close these files and follower model. Inside the followers, utils and profile actions, follow user and unfollow user. We are going to need both of these. So here on our button, we are going to set an on click. It is going to be an async function. First of all, we are going to set the follow loading to true. After this, we are going to check if is following is equals to true. We are going to call the unfollow user function. So if is following is equals to true, that means the user is following. And if he clicks on that button, that means he wants to unfollow the user. And inside here, we're going to pass in the user to unfollow ID. It is going to be profile follower dot user dot underscore ID and set user follow stats. Otherwise, we are going to call the follow user function. So now the user wants to follow the user and the parameters are going to be the same. So I'm just going to copy this right here. And after this function is called, let's await it. And after this function is called, we are going to set the follow loading back to false. So now the same is going to be inside the following. I'm just going to copy this from here. Inside the following, where we have the button, paste this on click. And here it is going to be profile following. So again, if is following is equal to true, we are calling the unfollow user function, because if it is true, that means the user is already following the user. And if he clicks on this button right here, that means he wants to unfollow the user. And otherwise, we are going to call this follow user. And let's import, I forgot to import this function, so let's import it. So now let's check if it works. So now if I go to the following and we get the John Doe following, and if I click on this button, we get this, the request is made, and now we get this follow. And if I go to the John Doe, and now you can see he has 0 followers. And we also need to wire these function to this button right here on the profile header. So if I click on this button, nothing happens right now. In the profile header, let's import this, copy this import statement. We also have a boolean here is following. So this button is right here. And again, it is going to be an async function. We are going to set the loading to true. And then we are going to check if is following is equals to true. We are going to wait for unfollow user. We are going to pass in the user to unfollow ID. So this basically is the profile.user._id and pass in the set user follow stats. Otherwise, we are going to wait follow user. Again, pass in the profile.user._id and the set user follow stats. And after this, we are going to set the loading back to false. So now let's check if it works. So now if I click on this button and we get this following, and if I go back, we have the following John Doe.